Hello there, digital world. Welcome back to yet another episode of Spliced In Later. It's time for another movie review, and I have to apologize in advance because this is not going to be a positive one, and I am disappointed about that. I would like to apologize in advance. We are reviewing the new Jurassic Park, Jurassic World franchise movie, Jurassic World Dominion. I do want to say at the start here that, as I've said many times on this show, everybody's opinions are different. People are going to like different things. And I try to be very positive on this show and always look for the positives in the movies I see. I don't like the reviews where people just shit on movies because that's the thing they like to do. It's very rare that I am negative about a movie. But I don't want anyone to take to heart too much what I say. If you are a fan of the Jurassic Park franchise and if you like this movie that we're about to talk about, that is fantastic and all the power to you. I like things that people think are shit, absolutely terrible. So we're all going to have differing opinions. So my take on this movie, if it does not match yours, that's just life. That's the way the cookie crumbles and this sort of thing. But I'm not I don't want people to think that I am attacking people who like the movie or anything like that, or any other movie. If you're a fan of Ghostbusters, for example, or if you really liked that Ice Age movie about Buck Wild that came out earlier or whatever, if you like those movies, whether I don't is irrelevant to the process. And I say that because I know I'm going to be really negative about this movie. It might be the most negative I've ever been, save for Ghostbusters Afterlife. And it's also possible due to the cinema experience. I had the worst cinema experience that I've had in quite some time. And I know I've said many times, especially during the pandemic, oh, it'll be good when the movie theaters are open again and we can go back to the movies. But I really said that because a lot of movies were being held behind that barrier. They weren't being released on streaming because Hollywood and all the people behind it wanted to make back a lot of the money that they spent on the movies. They wanted the old days where movies would make $1 billion on opening weekend. So when I said, oh, let's get those cinemas open again, it's because I wanted to watch Eternals and Spider-Man No Way Home and Top Gun Maverick and all these other films, No Time to Die, all these films that were being held back because of that. That being said, going to the cinemas sometimes sucks. While I do still support it in certain situations, for example, I do think a movie like Top Gun Maverick is best appreciated in the cinemas because it's on the big screen and you can appreciate Tom Cruise flying around in his plane and doing all those aerial stunts on that screening. But if it comes down to it, I would rather all movies are just released to me via streaming and I can watch them in the sanctity of my own home, or I can put myself in a position where I can be more receptive to the film. I can appreciate the film or dislike it based on its merits. We had a terrible start. First off, the cinema that we were supposed to see Jurassic World Dominion in, the big Extreme cinema, was broken. So they piled us all into one of their tiniest cinema screens. And because of that, nobody knew where they were supposed to sit. There were a lot of uncomfortable, oh, I think you're sitting in my seat. Oh, sorry, I got to move over here. Oh, no, actually, you're here and I'm there. Then when the movie started, about a minute in, the lights came up, completely ruining that moment where you're supposed to engross yourself in the screening. And then the movie just cut out after the first 10 minutes. Somebody went to tell somebody. When it finally was fixed, they started the movie again. This movie is 2.5 hours long, and I was seeing it at 7:15. Once you put aside all the trailers and the ads for everything else, the movie didn't get properly started till after 7:30, which means with the fake out, with the breakdown of the first part of the movie, it didn't start until more about 8 o'clock, which means I'm now recording this episode for you past 11 p.m., meaning by the time I get it all sorted, and that'll be after midnight. And I had a sneak peek at what I have to do for work tomorrow, and it's terrible. So I really should be going to sleep now and getting ready for that. But instead, we're talking about Jurassic World Dominion. When it started the second time, the lights came up again. Luckily, when they shut them down this time, the movie didn't freeze and have to restart. Aside from that, the people I was seeing it with, my friends that I saw it with, all great people. the general public that was seeing it, when they weren't coughing and spluttering. I tell you this, if I ever get COVID, it's going to be from watching this Jurassic World movie. Aside from that, there were kids screaming and crying. I understand that the original Jurassic Park is a PG movie, but don't bring your 2-year-olds to a movie with dinosaurs that are ripping people apart and screaming and jump scaring. That's not for them. They're not going to enjoy it. They're going to be scared. Aside from the screaming, there was just general people. It was the Northman all over again. People were just talking constantly, commenting on what they saw, making their own side jokes. If you want to do that, whisper. Don't talk at normal space. And it wasn't just me getting annoyed. There was people behind me who were really pissed off at the people behind them. So when you put all of that together, it's possible that I may have just not been in the right mood to like this movie. So I will say that. If I'm being harsher than it probably deserves, it might be because I just didn't have a good time watching it. But I also think that I just didn't like it because it wasn't very good. Anyway, let's get into it. My review of Jurassic World Dominion. I love the first Jurassic Park movie. I did a whole other episode on it. If you want to hear me talk about how good Jurassic Park is, look up that episode. Jurassic Park is a perfect film directed by Steven Spielberg. It's nice and simple. It is basically a horror slasher film with monsters. It is people stuck on an island, stuck in a broken down theme park that have to run from monstrous dinosaur creatures, and people get picked off one by one in particularly gruesome fashion, but in a way that's not too over the top because it is an adventure family film from the style of Steven Spielberg. So there is also that wonder, that magic of seeing dinosaurs. You have the good-hearted characters of Sam Neill's Alan Grant, Laura Dern's Ellie Sattler, Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm. You got the kids, you got Richard Attenborough's Hammond. You got the Weasley lawyer, the Samuel L. Jackson original role, the Wayne Knight being in there. It's never over the top scary. It's still magical and wondrous, and then at times terrifying in the essence of what it is, because it unpacks about what humanity has the right to do, what it should do. Should it bring back these dinosaurs? Should dinosaurs be in a theme park? Should we be experimenting on life that existed 65 million years ago when we did not? It's a great film, and the animatronics and the CGI, the effort put in to make those dinosaurs look real, to this day holds up, as I said in my episode. Its sequels, The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, while not as good as the original, still had that feel, that theme, that essence of what made the original Jurassic Park so good. Being stuck on these islands with these dinosaurs, trying to survive, having your good-natured characters paired up with some slime balls, watching them get picked off, different types of dinosaurs and the different ways they can either amaze you or kill you. Great stuff, great trilogy. Obviously, when Hollywood wants to revitalize something, they look for their IP brands. They see what sells. Jurassic Park sells. So in 2015, they brought it all back with Jurassic World, a over-the-top, goofy movie that I still really liked. I really enjoyed it. It was essentially what if Jurassic Park had actually opened. It was an actual theme park with people in it, and it was looking at theme parks and corporate government and all of that stuff as well. The idea of splicing dinosaurs' DNA to create bigger, scarier dinosaurs because you want to look for new things to entice people to come back to a theme park, in the same way that something like Disneyland is constantly building new attractions and new rides. It was goofy. It was a bit ridiculous, but I had fun with it. And it while it didn't capture the magic of the original, I enjoyed it. So I was excited to see more films. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I did not like. That one felt completely all over the place. It was a mess. The first half, with the dinosaurs being evacuated from the exploding volcano on the island, felt very, very all over the place and directionless. And then the second half became a murder house story with a dinosaur hunting people down in this mansion, which was so dumb that it was actually kind of entertaining as a result of that. They had some cheesy, terrible dialogue. They had some over-the-top acting, but at its heart, there was still people getting picked off by dinosaurs. You still had your heroes. But it saved it for me because it had a hook at the end of that movie, which was that the heroes, who I cannot... Owen, I think, is Chris Pratt's character. I can't remember Bryce Dallas Howard's name's character, but she's in it. And their little clone daughter, not their daughter, but their eventually adopted daughter, they have a choice between allowing the dinosaurs that they have in this mansion, this house, to die because they're being eradicated by gas, or they can let them out. But in doing so, the dinosaurs will escape and roam out into the mainland, into the real world. They make the choice to spare the dinosaurs because they are innocent in this terrible experiment of man, meaning that the last few moments of that movie showed dinosaurs wandering into suburbs, walking up to zoos, at the beach, stalking surfers, and Jeff Goldblum saying, well, now it's actually Jurassic World. Dinosaurs exist among us. We will have to learn to live with them, or we will be eradicated by them. Something like that. It was a good hook. So even though I didn't like Fallen Kingdom, I did not enjoy it much at all. I was anticipating this one because of that concept. It would be something different, something new for the franchise. Dinosaurs existing in the real world. How does humanity cope with it? The dinosaurs will never annihilate the human race. They won't leave us to extinction. There's not enough of them. But the human race coming to terms with a T-Rex wandering through your backyard, or murderous fishies in the sea, what's that going to be like? What's the world going to be like? And furthermore, the hook being they were bringing back the original cast from the original Jurassic Park. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. They were going to play major parts in the film, not like when they said Jeff Goldblum was coming back for Fallen Kingdom and he just sat in a chair for the whole movie. They're coming back for big roles. They'll team up with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and whoever else, I guess, for one big final Jurassic World adventure, I'm assuming. Apologies for that. My cat decided to jump for a ledge and he missed it. Are you alright, Winston? Of course he's alright. He's a big buffhead. So we've seen Jurassic World Dominion for 2.5 hours later, and it's a big old mess. Let's look for the positives first. The positives are the OGs did not disappoint. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum. They are the best part of the movie, specifically Sam Neill and Laura Dern. Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, they have that magic, they have that connection to the original Jurassic Park, and they have not lost a step in their characterization and their performance from Sam Neill and Laura Dern. They fall back into their roles easily. Their story, their interaction, what they're doing in the movie is definitely the most interesting part. Jeff Goldblum is also great. At this point, he's a meme. I don't know if he plays Ian Malcolm in this film or if he just plays Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum, because Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day, in Thor Ragnarok, he's playing the same sort of thing, which is Jeff Goldblum. But he's still fun. He still makes you giggle and smile and laugh at what he's doing. And when he's interacting with Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, you feel that warmth, that you remember Jurassic Park. And what they're doing is relatively serving a purpose for the film. Amongst all the chaos, their storyline is that locusts have started appearing, like giant locusts, wiping out crops. And the problem is that if they eat too much of the crops, they're going to upset the whole food chain balance of the world. No crops means cows can't eat, sheep can't eat, they'll die. Humans rely on them to eat. It's just going to completely screw up the ecosystem. They realize that a super secret, not secret, but a super company called Jensen, which is completely different to other super duper evil companies from the last couple of movies, headed by a fella from the first Jurassic Park movie. Their goal is to control the food supply, I guess, because money or power, I'm not sure. But they decide they're going to infiltrate the compound to get the proof they need that this company did indeed engineer the locusts. And I guess they'll be tried and convicted. Watching them go on their little adventure, though it's a bit silly and all over the place, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed them interacting with each other. The Sam Neill still sells the wonder of seeing dinosaurs and reacting to them in a way of fear and concern, but also amazement and wonder. It was some good stuff. There's some okay shots in here. There's some. It's exciting to see some new types of dinosaurs that aren't super inbred, genetically spliced dinosaurs from the last couple, like actual proper dinosaurs. According to my friend who saw it with me, all the dinosaurs in this film do actually exist. There's no Indoraptor or Indominus Rex. If you see a giant dinosaur stalking you, it did exist at some point in time. That's all the positives I have to say. unfortunately. The other plot for this film involves Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, our heroes of the Jurassic World franchise. They're hiding out in the mountains with the little clone girl that they rescued in the last film and adopted. They're hiding her from people, I guess. And also in the mountains is Owen, Chris Pratt's character name is Owen. His raptor buddy, Blue. Blue has had a baby. Both the little clone girl and the raptor baby are kidnapped by the Jensen company. So Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard follow the clues to go and rescue them. They go from one place to another, interacting with villains and villainous people, occasionally engaging with the dinosaurs that are a part of that, and then eventually colliding. Their quest to rescue their daughter collides with Sam Neill's quest to find the locusts, and then they are together at the end of the movie to do some stuff, and then the movie's over. That's the thing. The movie completely wastes its hook for me, its premise, which was dinosaurs in the real world and how will they react to that. Apart from an opening montage, which sort of shows some dinosaurs in the human world, and set pieces that show humans taking advantage of dinosaurs, using them on the black market, really, that whole concept is completely wasted. The majority of the climax of the movie and the encounter with the dinosaurs happens in Jensen's wildlife preserve sanctuary, where they've been rounding up dinosaurs and putting them. So essentially, at the end of the day, it's their own Jurassic Park. It's their own Isla Nublar or Isla Sorna or whatever. So our characters are once again restricted to a one location where dinosaurs are being looked after and herded in a particular point. It's not what I thought, where they'd be walking down a street and suddenly a dinosaur is there. All dinosaurs in every situation that they encounter are there because they're engineered by man. They've been herded there as a man intention of sorts, which takes away from that excitement. I wanted to see how the human race would react to all that, what they would do. But it became just a super secret, super evil government operation company or whatever. They're doing some bad stuff with some dinosaurs. We need to go stop them. We did it. And there's like a little tag at the end that goes, oh, by the way, all those dinosaurs in the real world, well, we'll learn to live with it. All our characters go back to the exact same spot they were at the beginning of the film, but they feel a bit better about themselves, I guess, really. The dialogue is cheesy and silly. The main villain of the plot is a bit of a goof, a bit of a dork. He doesn't impose any sort of intimidating factor. Our Jurassic World characters are Chris Pratt, our Bryce Dallas Howard, the little clone girl. There's no character development for them. They're there because you remember them from the previous movies, but they don't really have a lot of drive or connectivity to them. And when you put them in a movie with the original characters, you really notice that. At the end of the movie, where our two characters from our different trilogies come together, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum come face to face with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and some other character they picked up along the way, which I guess is the Jeff Goldblum of that group. This is the thing we've been building on ever since they announced Jurassic World 3, the original cast was coming back. This is the point. Our two characters, our two groups come together to do, I assume, like an Avengers thing or Star Wars where Rey meets Luke or something like that. You have that you expect banter between the two. Some comparisons between how they have approached the dinosaurs, what adventures they have gone on, how they perceive the world, how they plan things. Do they agree on plans? Do they disagree? Is there any sort of connection there? But it's nothing. There's nothing there. First off, when they stand next to each other, you realize that Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard have nothing to offer compared to the originals. There's a shot where Bryce Dallas Howard stands directly in front of Laura Dern. They're in profile, they're staring at each other. And I know the shot is designed to go, look, there's the Laura Dern of the original trilogy, and here's essentially the Laura Dern of the new trilogy. But Bryce Dallas Howard's character has nothing to offer. There's no like, oh, I can see how they're similar. There's nothing there. Sam Neill and Chris Pratt, they don't argue. They don't work together as a team. They don't comment on each other. They stand together. They stand next to each other. But that's about it. And that's when you realize that a lot like the Star Wars sequel trilogy for Disney, a lot like Ghostbusters Afterlife, there's such a difference between the original stuff, the magic, the engagement, the effort put into making those original stories, and this new stuff that's coming out now, which is made to make money. It's made because it's a brand. It's recognizable stuff. It's what will put people in the cinemas and sit down because they know those things, they remember those things, and they will pay to see those things mentioned. And I don't want to be cynical. I feel like that I'm turning into it, but I'm noticing it. I was all starry-eyed at the beginning of all this stuff because I love that sort of stuff. I love returning to things and continuing stories. But if people aren't going to put the effort into actually telling new stories and coming up with new ideas, if it's just retreading, rehashing, revisiting all the old stuff just to sell money, that makes me annoyed. And it's even bleeding through for me a little with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with the later movies that have come out. I still like them. I still really enjoy them. But I can see that the direction that was there with the Infinity Saga building up to Infinity War is not there. That I feel like it's the early days and they don't really know where they're going with these new movies, but they got to make them because they sell money. They sell, they get people in seats. They want to make that $1 billion off that Spider-Man movie, off that Doctor Strange movie, off the Ghostbusters, off Star Wars, off Jurassic Park. Who knows next year with the new Lightyear movie that's coming out? I'm excited to see that, but I worry, is it being made just because Toy Story is popular and Buzz Lightyear sells? I don't know anymore. I'm starting to get a bit apprehensive about going to see these movies and what's actually going to be made. It gives me hope to see something like Top Gun Maverick at least, and know that some of this stuff, the effort's being put in to tell new stories. Yes, we're seizing a brand that people know, but we're respecting the content and the source material, and we're doing what we can to tell new stories. Jurassic World Dominion doesn't do anything really new for it, and because we've got our original characters in here, it just makes you want to watch the older stuff again and appreciate the actual quality films that came before this. The movie's too long. There's no suspense. All of our heroes are protected by plot armor. Those original Jurassic Park movies, you had a bunch of good characters, but a few of them would be picked off. They would be eaten by dinosaurs. In this one, every single good character has a quip, has funny things to say, is a bit of a smartass, and no matter what encounter they have with a dinosaur, they will make it out alive. They will make it out unscathed. They don't even have a bunch of villainous characters in here that can be taken out as fodder. They have like two characters I think are eaten by dinosaurs in this movie. That's the fun part of the Jurassic Park movies, is watching people get eaten by dinosaurs. When you've got a whole bunch of characters and you know they're safe because they're the good guys, and you don't back that up with any sort of suspense. Yes, I can watch Bryce Dallas Howard crawl around on the ground while a terrible dinosaur stalks behind her, but I know there's not a chance in hell that she's going to end up in that dinosaur's belly, or even that it's got a nibble on her fingers. That's a weird thing to say, but you get what I mean. Overall, I'm really disappointed and I'm annoyed, and I apologize to the Jurassic Park fans out there. If you liked this movie, that's good. I'm glad you did. I did not, unfortunately, and I give it a 3 out of 10. I give it 3 because of Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern. They're the reason why it doesn't go any lower than that. But aside from that, the new characters have nothing to offer. There's no real arc. There's no real story. There's no seizing of that potential of the Dominion point of dinosaurs in the real world. It's boring. There's no suspense with the dinosaurs about whether they're going to actually do anything to hurt our characters. The confrontations, the overall plot at the end sort of just goes on and on and on. You don't really know what the point of anything is really, apart from mission goal A for Chris Pratt and mission goal B for Sam Neill. And then after a while, the movie ends and you leave the cinema going, everybody finished where they started. What was the point? Very disappointing. I'm sorry to have been so negative. As I say, the cinema experience sucked. And the hypochondriac in me is also feeling a bit unwell, having been in such close proximity with people who were just coughing all over me, that I'm starting to think I have COVID, even though COVID doesn't come on this fast, but that's just the kind of person I am. With the breaking of the cinemas and the talking and the kids screaming, who knows? Maybe when I rewatch it, when it comes out on DVD, as I always do, it might be better received by me. I'll be in a better place to maybe appreciate it a bit more. But knee-jerk reaction now, was not a fan, unfortunately, and I'm sorry about that. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed my little rant. I'm sorry it was a big old grump. That's not who I am. I promise I'm not turning into that. I'm seeing Lightyear next week, which will be my movie review episode of that. So there will be no episode on Tuesday, but on Wednesday you'll get your Lightyear review. And although I'm cautious and I'm worried about brands and all that stuff now, the trailers for Lightyear have been good. I've liked them. I liked the feel and vibe of the movie. It just breaks my brain when it says that the movie is based on the real life person that the toy in Toy Story was based from. And you think, did Toy Story exist in a world where there was space travel? If you think about it too much, your brain starts to melt. I think that might just be a mistake on the marketing side, but I'm interested to see. And I hope it's a more positive experience, and I hope I have a more positive review to give you when I go and see that and talk to you about it. So be sure to tune in next week for that one. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you liked Jurassic World Dominion, that's good. As I say, don't take my word for it. If you're curious, go and see it for yourself. I'll never say don't see a movie unless it is offensive in the racist or sexist terms. This isn't that. It's just, oh man. Let's wrap it up before my brain explodes. I'll see you next week, everybody. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I will catch you next time.